Our planet and our solar system are part of a much larger neighborhood that is inhabited by other highly intelligent, highly technologically developed, but distinctly non-human species. We're going to have to come to grips with this.
My name is Dannny Sheehan. I'm a constitutional litigator who's worked some of the most important cases in modern American history. From Pentagon Papers, the Watergate scandal, to Iran-Contra. My legal career has led me now to this pivotal moment. As our human family confronts the implications of the existence here on our planet of extraterrestrial or extra-dimensional non-human species. I will be your guide as we dive into the profound philosophical, theological, and public policy questions pertaining to the UFO phenomenon, alien life, and the citizen movement for disclosure. This is the Full Disclosure Podcast, coming to you from the New Paradigm Institute on SpectraVision Radio.
We are now halfway to the record of a 35-day shutdown that occurred, back in the first term of President Trump over the border wall. In that particular instance, there have been a couple other instances where we've had short 16-day close downs. One was in the Obama administration over the issue of the Affordable Health Care Act. And then there was another 21-day shutdown under the Clinton administration in the fight over Gingrich coming in with the Contract on America fight over the budget. But we're halfway to the record now of 35 days. As the government is shut down, there appears to be no active negotiations actually going on right now. Both sides are blaming the other side for the shutdown, and neither one of them is coming up with any solution at this point. The Trump administration now is firing thousands of people from the Department of Education, the Environmental Protection Agency, and others. They're using this opportunity, the close down of the government, to be firing all of these people. But in the meantime, life goes on. We know we've had now this extraordinary set of events in the Middle East with an apparent beginning steps of ending the war in Gaza, of the assault on Gaza by Israel, and the return of at least the 20 still living hostages that were taken back 2 years ago by Hamas. So there's these major events are still going on, and events are still going on having to do with the UFO or UAP disclosure process. Christopher Mellon, who is the former Assistant Deputy Secretary of State in charge of intelligence for both the Clinton administration, the Democratic administration, and for the Republican administration of George W. Bush, published last Sunday on the 11th in the San Francisco Chronicle, calling for the public revelation of the information about the UFOs in the aftermath of both the Senate and the House failing, in fact, declining to include in the National Defense Authorization Act the full 64-page bill that was once passed by the Senate back in 2023, calling for a complex and thorough process by means of which the UFO information could be disclosed in a responsible manner. Chris Mellon has called for the reinstatement of that law, wants to have it passed again. He is now noting that the response that both the Trump administration, the executive branch, and the military services and intelligence agencies, he calls their response to the demand from Congress for the revelation of this information, his term is piddling. There've been a piddling response to the demand from Congress. Congress's response has been what he calls halting in the face of this defiance on the part of these agencies. So that's a comparatively big deal to have a major news outlet publish a piece from the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence calling for the public revelation of the UFO information in the midst of all of these other major national and international events going on. Congressman Tim Burchett from Tennessee, who is on the UAP investigation in the Congress, has issued a major interview with The Hill, a major outlet, in which he has now come forward with information that he has gotten from an additional whistleblower, a United States Navy officer, who has given him a more detailed account of a direct encounter beneath the ocean with a major USO, this underwater submerged object that is clearly not anything normal, that is any vehicle that's in our arsenal or any that we know of in the world, that these large vehicles traveling hundreds of miles an hour under the water, and our submarines will go maybe 40 miles an hour underwater, and these are going literally hundreds of miles an hour in evading our craft. The U.S. Air Force and the Director of National Intelligence have continued to dribble some information to the National Archives. This is what Christopher Mellon has referred to as a piddling response. The information from the Air Force, we've investigated that now, and basically it comprises the documents from Project Blue Book, back between 1952 and 1969. It's old information. It's dismissing 99% of all of the accounts, trying to explain away these accounts as somehow a mistaken flock of birds or searchlights at the bottom of clouds, etc. So it's useless information. It's just more cover-up. The same thing is true of the information that's come from the Defense Department. All they've done is basically submitted the account of the Aero Office, the All-Domain Anomalous Resolution Office, that has been roundly condemned by virtually all of the people in the know, in the official circles, as basically a cover-up. A continued cover-up is sort of a modern version of Operation Blue Book. Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, still refuses to swear in the newly elected Congresswoman from Arizona, Adelita Grijalva. He still refuses to swear her in because he knows that she's going to become the 218th vote to support the discharge petition in the House of Representatives, which is going to bring to the floor forcibly the bill calling for the public revelation of the Epstein files over the objections of the Rules Committee and over the objections of the Speaker of the House. This demonstrates to the people of the world that the Congress of the United States is perfectly capable of forcing a bill to the floor if they want to have it done that way. Our New Paradigm Institute has called for the filing onto the floor of the Congress a standalone bill, not an attempt to get the Full Disclosure Act of the Senate forced into the National Defense Authorization Act, but a standalone bill. We now have the commitment from at least one of the Congress people, and we're going to be getting more, to be willing to introduce that bill. And our New Paradigm Institute is involved in helping to make sure that that bill is an aggressive, firm bill that is going to generate the full disclosure that we're after. We are going to be mobilizing the major mass-based Citizens for Disclosure group that we have chapters of now in 32 of the states. Toward the end of the year, we should have a chapter set up in all 50 of the states calling for the passage of this standalone piece of legislation. Sunday, 19th of October, there's going to be the second annual Global Disclosure Day. The original Global Disclosure Day was set for last year, 2024, for October 20th, which was the deadline that was imposed by Congress when it passed the portion of the UAP Disclosure Act that mandated all of these executive branch agencies to gather together all of the information and turn all the information over to the National Archives, originally by October 20th of 2024. We know that the National Archives issued a reprieve just shortly before October 20th of last year, granting basically another full year. There's been no effective response to date about that. So we're having the second annual Global Disclosure Day now on the 19th of October. That's going to be Sunday from 1 p.m. Eastern Time to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And this is going to be a major response on the part of the citizens to this piddling response on the part of the executive branch to the demands, the halting demands that are being made by Congress. This is going to be a major event. It's going to be having 4 significant pieces to the event. The first one is going to be an historical review, which is going to be undertaken as a discussion between Richard Dolan, who's the sort of preeminent historian of the UFO phenomenon, along with Colonel Carl Nell, who was a member of the UAP task force that was appointed immediately after the closing down of the ATIP, Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, following the public revelations that were made back in 2017. Colonel Nell is going to be having this discussion with Richard Dolan about the present status of the disclosure process, how it fits into what Colonel Nell sees as a cycle of the upsurge of interest in this issue, and then its consistent decline, and letting the executive branch get away with what they're trying to do now, kind of pretending that people don't really care about this enough to do anything about it. Richard Dolan is going to be disagreeing with that, arguing that this is a unique situation that we have now. So much information has been revealed in the open congressional hearings under oath, and so much additional specific information has been provided to the Senate Intelligence Committee by firsthand witnesses that have been in the physical presence of UFO beings that are people who are occupants of these UFOs. This is going to be a 4-hour long event. That'll be a 40-minute presentation at the very beginning. Then secondly, there's going to be a discussion of the current status of the particular legislation. That's going to also be discussing the details of this present status of the Citizens for Disclosure. We have chapters now in 32 of the states. We're going to have some people who are directly involved in that organizing going on to be able to make a major presentation to us about what the status of that is and how it is that you can become a member of the Citizens for Disclosure in your state, and you can work to set up the additional chapters that are going to be set up in each of the 435 congressional districts around the country. That's going to be a 30-minute discussion. And then there's going to be the major feature of the Global Disclosure Day for 2025, which is going to be a major 2-hour panel discussion. This is going to be an extraordinarily informative discussion talking about what the present prospects are in the opinion of these major members of this panel that are going to be discussing this, their views as to what the content of that disclosure should be, talking about what it is our government knows about and has done about the UFO phenomenon over the past 80-year period. And also, it's going to be discussing their opinion about what a truly full disclosure of all of the information would, in fact, reveal in their judgment, in discussing, finally, what is actually, in their opinion, going on. What is going on here? Who are these UFO occupants? Where are they coming from? What is their agenda? To let you know how important it is and why you should tune into this, the members of this panel are going to be Congressman Eric Burlison himself. Congressman Burlison basically has the primary portfolio now on the UFO issue in the Task Force for Declassification of Government Secrets, which is a special task force that has been set up by the United States House Oversight Committee. He is as knowledgeable as any other person in the Congress about what the information is that we have so far. He's going to be one of the lead members of this panel discussion. Ross Coulthart is going to be a participant. He is, as you know, one of the leading investigative journalists that are investigating this information. He's the host of News Nation, the reality check show. And we're also going to be having Kirk McConnell, who was one of the co-drafters of the 64-page Schumer bill in the United States Senate that was passed by the Senate. So he's very familiar with all of the requirements of this full 64-page bill. Kirk McConnell is going to be there representing sort of the Senate insights into what's going on now. Richard Dolan, that I mentioned earlier, the kind of preeminent historian of the UFO phenomenon, the author of the 2-volume work called UFOs and the National Security State, and the author now of the more recent 2-volume work called USOs, Unidentified Submergible Objects. Jesse Michaels is going to be one of the panel members. He is the host of American Alchemist, one of the principal researchers in the UFO field. Anna Brady Estevez is going to be there representing the corporate business aerospace community. Basically, the theme of this panel is it's not just a series of kind of talking heads here. What we're dealing with is sort of a reproduction of what the 9-person board of review would have looked like if, in fact, the full 64-page bill that was approved by the Senate were passed by the House. It called for the establishment of a 9-person panel of review that were going to be reviewing all of this information that was supposed to be revealed by these major executive branch agencies to the National Archives. Anna Brady Estevez, she was from the National Science Foundation. She was the leader in the National Science Foundation of the small business enterprise stimulants, the grants that were being given by the National Science Foundation to stimulate research in the areas of new cutting-edge technology, etc. She is now also a major executive of a major aerospace private corporation, so she's going to be representing the kind of corporate point of view that would have been part of the panel that was required to be put in place by the full 64-page bill that was passed by the Senate. We're going to have Chris Bledsoe representing the experiencer community. Most of you know who he is. I'm going to be there as well from the point of view of the legal and constitutional analysis of what the fundamental challenges are to our American Constitution, represented by the national security state refusal to cooperate with the United States Congress. We're also going to have Reed Summers is going to be there. He is another one of the major researchers from Allies of Humanity. Also, we're going to have Randy Hayes is there. He is the founder of the Rainforest Action Coalition, talking from an environmental point of view, what the consequences are of this national security state group having concealed from the Congress and from the world the energy source that they have now discovered to be the source of the energy being provided to the UFOs. Now, as we pointed out earlier, we've got radar and video of the UFOs coming in from over 80,000 feet, descending to the sea level in 0.7 of 1 second, plunging into the sea, making no splash, and traveling at over 200 miles an hour underwater, all in one motion. And it has been determined that the amount of energy that it would take to make that one move, descending from 80,000 feet to sea level and stopping on a dime, which generates 6,000 Gs of pressure on that craft that would disintegrate any material that we know of. The amount of energy that is expended in that one single second would basically be more than all of the total energy generated by all 103 private nuclear power plants in the United States over the period of an entire year. So the energy source that these UFO vehicles have is an extraordinarily important secret that is being kept by the national security state. And our entire human family is being deprived of this energy source that could, in fact, substitute for the burning of petroleum and the fossil fuels, which are contaminating our planet and endangering our entire ecosystem and generating global climate change. Also, we're going to have a discussion here among the people about what the dangers are of the attempt on the part of this so-called legacy group, the UFO legacy group buried deep within some element of our national security state, trying to back engineer the technology of these UFOs and develop a new platform for the immediate delivery of nuclear explosives into the heart of Russia or China. And therefore totally destabilizing the present geopolitical structures that are in place to try to prevent accidental nuclear war. All of these are going to be discussed by the panel. We're going to have them discussing what their respective understanding is of the present status of the disclosure process. And they're also going to be talking about what they believe the content of the information is that is actually possessed by our government. Based upon their various areas of expertise. And they're going to also be discussing what, in fact, would be revealed by a deep understanding of the entire UFO phenomenon based on their historical experience in researching this. Many people here for 50 years. This is going to be an extraordinarily important conversation among these nationally recognized people. And then there's going to be a closing analysis, a discussion between myself as the president and general counsel of the New Paradigm Institute, along with Dr. James Garrison, who is going to be moderating the panel discussion about what the more cosmic implications are of what it is that we're really talking about here, what the full implications are for our human family, for our religious institutions, our economic institutions, our geopolitical institutions, to come to grips with this reality. Because the fact of the matter is, the evidence is overwhelming that we are being visited by members of an extraterrestrial civilization that are coming here from another star system, and that they're a completely different species from our Homo sapien species. And yet they're highly intelligent, highly technologically developed, and they actually are coming and going from our planet regularly. And our military knows about it, our intelligence community knows about it, and there are responses that are needed by our State Department and other departments of our United States government and the world government of the United Nations and other nation states such as Russia and China and India have to respond to this. And what we need to do is we really need to undertake some significant amendments in our present institutional structures of our human family to accommodate the new information that's going to be flowing to us from the disclosure process. That's the news for this week from the New Paradigm Institute, brought to you by SpectraVision Radio.
To join the citizen movement for disclosure, visit newparadigminstitute.org/take action.